everybody, it's your boy Moski, back with another video. Today's video is a reaction video to The Last of Us Episode 2, full breakdown, ending, and explain. I should have done a video on this on the first episode, but I was too late on it. But then I just recently got into the show because I did play the game back then, and it's been a while since I played it, so I still remember some of the gist of the story from the video game. But episode 2 came out yesterday, so I was like, you know what, might as well drop a video now. And every time an episode comes out, I'll do like, you know, a reaction to someone breaking it down so I understand more of what's going on. So yeah, I'm excited for the show. The show is really great, especially, you know, being truthful to the game. And I'm having a good time with this show, and I can't wait for the continuation when next week's episode comes out. So hopefully enjoy my reaction. I really hope this does successful,
Welcome
man.
back, everyone.
This is really good, though, how it's starting off.
Last of Us Episode 2 video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes. Be sure to subscribe to get them all. We're also doing a giveaway for HBO Max subscriptions. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just post your favorite moment from the episode on the video. Careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. We'll just start at the beginning, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments, starting with the title of the episode. It was Infected, which is literally a reference to all the people who have been infected, and the origin of the cordyceps fungus. This episode was another history lesson and a tutorial in present day about how the fungus just works in general, like where it came from, how it started, confirming a bunch of theories after episode 1. Turns out Flower is the real villain here. But in present day, there are a lot of references to how the fungus works on the infected and different types of infected, like we finally see some clickers up close and personal. The actual opening scene starts in another flashback to life in Jakarta, Indonesia in 2003, right before Joel and his daughter in episode 1 heard the news about problems there on the radio. The main reason why the fungus hit here first is because of the warmer average climate and because of the flour. Jakarta holds the world's largest flour factory. The whole idea is that the fungus had an easier time surviving in warmer climates, so as global warming slowly increased the average
They're playing out realism. That's like crazy. Places
in the world were just warmer naturally than others. Jakarta being
kind of scary, though, you know, if this ever actually happened in real life.
It's natural that's where the first giant outbreak of the fungus was. And remember, it's the mutant fungus, because the woman who investigates it is like, oh no, it can never survive in humans. We don't have to worry about it. The military men come to pick her up. She's a professor of mycology, which is the study of fungus. They want to develop a vaccine, but it turns out there is no actual cure for it. Like, Ellie is meant to be the first known person in the series, in the games, who's immune. That's why they're trying to use her to create a vaccine. The version of the fungus that she winds up looking at here is the mutated version, because the sample was taken from a human, and they show you how they discovered the first known infected, at least that they know of, and how they try to get more information. I love the way that some of this plays out too. Like the guard tells her, if you feel sick, be sure you leave this room, which is like the worst possible thing she could do. Like that's just another way to spread it. But that's when they have spores, and they're not really doing spores.
Yeah, I would never enter that room.
The showrunner said that they might do spores in season 2, so like they still might be a thing. And they reference spores in present day when Ellie is talking about the different types of infected. So the main way to get infected right now is just to get bitten by one of the other infected. So as long as the woman didn't get infected here, or the fungus didn't get inside her suit, she'd be fine. The bullet wound in her head was where they shot her, because as they said, she turned violent. She turned into a runner, basically. All the things they're describing is stuff that we saw during episode 1, so like we've already seen this play out. It is possible to kill the infected, but as the fungus progresses through different stages, it creates stronger and stronger armor around their bodies, and they gain the ability to spit acid, to throw spore bombs, which they reference later in the episode.
So there aren't super infected that explode fungus spores on you? Or ones with split open heads that see in the dark like bats?
Hopefully there's not infected that throw spore bombs at you. Boy, is Ellie gonna be in for a surprise. But the big idea here is that they got her with the headshot, which is how you kill them. It's just like on The Walking Dead with the walkers. You get them with a headshot, that's how you take them down.
Yeah, but these ones, they seem more crazier and more hard to kill more than a zombie.
Which they reference later in the episode too. Like the fungus continues on.
It took a lot of bullets to kill them.
Infected, which in the games is another reference to the spores. Like the whole idea that when you kill someone, they give off spores and they can continue to infect you. So that's why the infected on The Last of Us are way more dangerous than the walkers on The Walking Dead. And the whole thing here is them just confirming where the first infected were found. In a flour grain factory, also supporting the flour theory from episode 1. There's a type of fungus that just naturally grows around grain, isn't harmful to humans by the time it makes it through flour mills and into food products. During episode 1, there were all these references to Joel and his daughter not eating flour because they were out like they didn't have any flour, and somehow they survived. They didn't get infected like their neighbors who were eating cookies with flour in them. Also, the world's largest flour mill is in Jakarta, so it's just the show saying that the origin of the fungus was Jakarta in the flour here. It was the perfect quote-unquote substrate, as she says. But the factory here, where they had this initial outbreak, they caught 14 people and claimed that there's one person that they missed, the person that bit her, the 15th person, which is how it spread around the city. And then it cuts to the scene where she basically tells them that there is no possibility for a vaccine or a cure. The best way to take care of this would be to bomb the city, kill everybody in it, and hope to contain it. But there's another reference to this later in the episode when Tess talks about what happened to Boston, about how they bombed all the cities in the US as a way to do the same thing, to try and contain the fungus. I couldn't detect any changes to the opening credits from episode 1. It is the same theme song from the games, like The Last of Us main theme song. I referenced this during my episode 1 video, but the growth inside the opening credits is the fungus growing in the map of the United States and then the rest of the world spreading around the world. Like you can see the outline of the United States here. You can also see Joel and Ellie's outline in here too. Then in present day, we pick up with Joel and Tess watching over Ellie as she sleeps and wakes up. The reason why he has the gun on her is that he's still worried that she's going to turn and try to bite them, infect them.
He's more jumpier in the show than the game, though. Joel is.
When he starts to actually believe that she might be immune. Pretty much this entire episode, at least the present day of the episode, is taken directly from the games, but it's like a much more elongated version, like it's a much more stretched out version of this part of the game, with them trying to make it across the downtown district to get her to the other Fireflies. So they basically start from square one here with this whole scene of her explaining everything to them about how she's immune, teasing her backstory a little bit with Marlene about how she found her after she'd been infected. There'll be more flashbacks for this in future episodes for Ellie's backstory with Riley, with her mother. She also makes a few references to this later in the episode too when she starts talking about how she got bitten in the first place. The whole joke with the chicken sandwich is that the rations in the city are generally terrible and never enough to meet people's needs, so they rely on smugglers to bring in food to the city, which is how the Fireflies got the chicken, but Joel and Tess are smugglers. Like, they're the people responsible for doing that, but they're stuck eating this really terrible jerky. There's a lot of scenes early on here, too, where Ellie tries to cut the tension by telling inappropriate jokes like, don't do that, don't pretend you're infected, just to show you how she's going to balance out the relationship with Joel. Like, Joel is this super serious person in the relationship. Ellie's the person, at least at first, that they'll use for a lot of comedic relief, but she's also a very tragic character. So this is how you know anytime she gets really serious, shit is about to go down. Not expecting Joel to start telling jokes anytime soon. The way that Joel talks about the idea of a vaccine and the Fireflies working out west in Salt Lake City sounds like it's been an urban myth for a long time, and he just doesn't believe it yet. Because as Tess says, for now, at least at this part of the episode, they still really don't care about her that much. They're only doing this so they can get the reward from the Fireflies and he can get to his brother in Wyoming to make sure that he's okay. In a lot of these scenes here where you get tutorials on how the fungus works, how the different infected work, are meant to be viewed from Ellie's perspective.
Yeah, I noticed when he was like feeling it, stuff, I guess the more dry it is, the less infected that was there.
Love the wide shot around the destroyed area of Boston here too.
But I guess if
really
it's moist, I guess it's
like I said, when Tess starts talking about the bombing of cities, that's another reference to the episode where the woman is like, the only way to contain this would be for you to bomb this entire city and kill everybody in it. As Tess is talking about it, and they're staring in this giant bomb crater. You notice the car that they pass is an early 2000s model because that's when the city was bombed. The mall that Ellie talks about where she was bit is more of her backstory with Riley that they'll cover in future episodes. They might change the way this works on the show just a little to make it more tragic, but originally in the games Ellie was bit by a runner as they were trying to escape. They might say on the show that she was bit by Riley after she had turned, just to make circumstances of her backstory even more tragic than they already are. She's lying to Tess when she says she was alone inside the mall when she was bit. She was with Riley, who got bit, and she was forced to kill her best friend. When she says she's an orphan, her mother's going to be played by Ashley Johnson, who was the voice of Ellie in the games, who will be featured in flashbacks in future episodes when they do more of her backstory. There's another big video game reference and more foreshadowing for the future types of infected they'll encounter when she starts joking about infected that shoot spores at you. Those are a reference to bloaters, which are like the fourth stage of the fungus. They're like very advanced versions of the fungus. You start out as a runner, then you turn into a channel after a little while, then you turn into a clicker, which we see later in the episode, and then after a bunch more time, you evolve into a bloater. In addition to the spore bombs, the bloaters also have super tough skin, so they're way harder to kill than runners, shamblers, or clickers.
Those are annoying to fight.
The ones with the split open heads that have echolocation like bats, as she says, are the clickers that we see in the episode. Which is also where we hear that first cry of the
clickers.
episode.
It's just like,
yes, there they are. We're going to see them in a little while.
Ugh.
When they make it into the hotel and Ellen starts playing around, making all that noise, obviously very bad, don't want to make a bunch of noise. They have another perfect copy of a scene that was taken from the video games when she's joking about checking into the hotel.
Yes, sir. I would like your finest suite, please.
Oh, I'll be checking in for one night, and I would like your finest suite, please.
What the hell are you doing?
Why, yes, you can take my luggage upstairs.
You are a weird kid.
Yeah,
You're a weird kid.
You're a weird kid.
Do you notice when Joel helps her up, he recoils his hand because he's still not 100% on Ellie being immune. He's still worried about getting infected.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Too much. The Switchblade knife that she has.
He was like, yeah, you know what? I helped you, but now I thought about like you're still infected. I don't know if I can trust you.
Again on the show, like she's a pretty big character in the story. She gets a little bit more of a tutorial about how the infected live. Like some of them live a little bit longer than others. That's just a reference to them evolving into higher states, like the clickers, which we see pretty shortly. Like the idea that some of them live longer, 20 plus years, even without other people trying to kill them. They just naturally continue to evolve. Their whole back and forth here too, where they start talking to each other about their past, like, have you ever killed anyone who's been infected who used to be a person? How did you feel about that? That's her slowly opening up and trying to talk more about what happened with her and Riley and her backstory, because it's still very traumatic for her. But Joel, at this point, doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He doesn't want to examine his past at all. He wants to tamp that down as much as possible. The whole idea is he's been so traumatized in his past that he just wants to forget about all that pain.
Went through a lot,
down,
especially
which
losing
is
his
why
kid.
the end of the episode is so heartbreaking for him, because he's kind of opened himself up to Tess. Like, he genuinely cared about her, and her dying at the end of the episode is just another example to him of why he shouldn't start caring about people, pushing him further away from Ellie. Even though during the episode there are a couple moments teasing their pairing, like their father-daughter relationship. Like, eventually they will start to think of each other as a surrogate father and daughter. They show you the group of infected moving in unison just to remind you the way the fungus controls their brain functions. They're literally and metaphorically connected. Not only is sort of like a hive type of group, but also Tess explained to her how the fungus grows tendrils underground and can alert other groups of them.
That's insane. That's more dangerous, where the fungus can alert all the other like
the way that the infected works
clickers and all like zombies, whatever they're called.
Fungus actually
this is like that's more dangerous.
Fungus is a real type of fungus.
Just send a herd just to come at you from a far distance away. That's insane.
It couldn't survive.
That's more scarier than regular zombies.
But the whole basis for the game is theoretically what would happen if it could survive in humans. The museum is right out of the video game. Ellie asking them for a gun all the time is also meant to be foreshadowing for her eventually saving Joel a bunch in the future. Like, she's not lying when she says that she's not totally helpless. She is a little bit of a Baby Yoda type of character. Like, we talk about Pedro Pascal Easter eggs, Pedro Pascal into the Pascalverse, because we have Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal seems like he's always delivering something at this point. He's delivering Grogu, now Ellie. What's the next TV show or movie that he's going to deliver someone?
Part of the idea with the series is that Ellie, even though she's only 14 years old, is a very capable person and does wind up helping Joel a lot in the future. The reason why he and Tess freak out when they find the new victim and go super quiet is because the person was killed by a clicker. The clickers, we see two of them upstairs later, and they have echolocation. They also use this part of the episode as another tutorial in how the other types of infected work, like how the clickers work. When they take them on, I did think it was weird that Joel hit it with so many body shots and didn't go straight for headshots at first. I think that's just because they want to show you a little bit about how they actually work.
Yeah.
But the fact that there are two of them is meant to be how Tess winds up getting bitten. You also notice through the course of the fight here, like as things start to get crazy, Joel starts to go into protective dad mode and get less worried about Ellie being infected. Like he's slowly starting to warm up to the idea that she's telling the truth. She really is immune. When they wind up escaping, the reason why Tess gets short with him is because she knows that she's been bit, and that's it for her. She's dead. Yeah. That's also why she walks so far ahead of him when they're in the street walking on their way to the Capitol building, because she doesn't want to be close to him if she turns. The shot of them standing together here too, looking forward, is more foreshadowing for their father-daughter relationship in the journey ahead. That's why they start playing the theme song from The Last of Us, like it kicks in when he steps into frame with her. The whole reason why the other Fireflies aren't at the rendezvous is because they're all dead. One of them wound up turning and it caused this domino effect that led to them all killing each other. Which is why Joel winds up being the one to take Ellie all the way to Salt Lake City, Utah, but only after another call to action from Tess. Like, he still needs a little bit of convincing, even after he knows that she's going to die. The scene of them finding the bodies is also right out of the game. Like, all this stuff is right out of the game. As is the scene of Tess revealing that she was infected and telling Joel why it's so important that he take Ellie all the way.
That's crazy. I'm glad that they took it all from the game.
Humanity,
that's awesome.
Making things right. And remember, the reason why this is meant to be so heartbreaking is because Joel actually genuinely did care about Tess. Like, they've been together as a couple for a long time, even though, as Tess said, they're not nice people. He's genuinely heartbroken again. Like, he opened himself up again finally, and it just wound up biting him in the ass. Like, the person that he loved wound up dying again. They also use this as a way to prove Ellie's immunity because, as Tess shows her infection, she's only been infected for like less than an hour, and see how quickly it's progressed, and Ellie hasn't changed at all. They also pay off Tess's earlier reference about the way the fungus grows tendrils underground and can alert other groups of infected.
So messed up.
When they kill that remaining infected, and the tendrils continue growing and alert the others that come racing towards them.
Look how fast
with her
they are.
Sacrificing herself to make sure that they could get out of Boston the rest of the way and find Bill and Frank. So R.I.P. Tess, everyone press F to pay respects. That look on their face at the end as they see the building blow up and Ellie kind of looks up at the sky like, oh, here we go, is really where she starts to depend on him, kind of like a father figure. But they still don't view each other as like a father-daughter duo yet. That's still a little ways off. You kind of see them slowly warming up to each other, like she's relying on him. Like she's like, okay, I'm putting my hands in him. Hopefully this goes well. And Joel's kind of like, here we go again. Tamp down those terrible feelings inside about what just happened to the person that I love, to Tess. Feeling just like he did when his daughter died. But he's going to keep having moments like he did during episode 1 when he's protecting Ellie and hallucinating his daughter, just associating the two together. And that being the path to him slowly thinking of Ellie as his daughter. It sounds like episode 3 is going to be all about Bill and Frank, who are right out of the game. They're huge characters, but in the game, it's only Bill that they interact with. And the next big goal is really to find a car that's capable of getting them the rest of the way to Wyoming and then Salt Lake City, Utah. Like, we're still just getting started. Like, this is the very beginning of the game.
Literally.
Bill is being played by Nick Offerman. He's been in all the trailers, which is funny because there's been a video game meme of Bill done in the style of Ron Swanson for a long time now. I even put in my episode 1 video. If there's any Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the episode that I didn't talk about in this video, just write them below in the comments. Episode 3 is supposed to be fantastic. I'm loving the show so far, and it seems like they've broken the curse of the video game adaptation. We can only pray that the God of War series is going to be this
man.
My Last of Us episode
God
3 trailer
War.
video will post next, and my full episode 3 video will post next Sunday after they release it. Make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss it. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up, and we're going to get Super Bowl trailers in a couple weeks too. There'll be a bunch of really big trailers coming. Everyone click here for my Last of Us episode 3 trailer video. I'll update the link as soon as I post it. And click here for all my Last of Us episode videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Alright. Wow. I forgot that they are actually, it's greenlit that God of War is coming as a TV show on Amazon. Oh man, I hope, it's going to go as well just as this as it's starting. And I hope Last of Us as well, from start to finish, all the way is great. I just want this to be a great freaking TV show for video game adaptation, like he said. And it's starting off great. 2 episodes back to back, bangers. I love them. And I can't wait for next week Sunday for episode 3 of Last of Us. Well, if you enjoy my reaction, please drop a like, comment, subscribe, post notifications, get all my videos up to date. See you in the next video, and peace.